Today I want to show you how I created these photos using a DIY light projection setup. It's easy, it's cheap, and the best part, you don't need an optical spot to achieve something like this. I love these images that feel intentional, something aesthetic that says, this is my space, my vibe, you know? The kind of photo you would actually want to print or post somewhere, not just scroll past. And the best part, you don't need crazy gear to get something similar. Let me show you the idea behind this. Look, I've always liked photos where light itself becomes part of the composition, not just lighting a subject, but actually creating shapes, mood, and depth. Normally, to get this kind of projected light look, you need an optical spot, and the problem is a decent one costs around 500, and honestly I don't want to spend 500 bucks on something that doesn't guarantee any income yet. Plus it's one more piece of gear that I should store carefully, and if you are like me, you don't want to overcomplicate things. So instead I built a workaround using gear I already had. Last couple of days it was completely not good outside. I mean, the weather was really bad. Now it's a little bit better, but honestly last photo shoot I was literally freezing at -2 or 3 degrees Celsius, and I don't want to do that again. So today I'm gonna set up my tripod and I'll show you the exact gear I use for today's photo shoot. Canon R8 and 2470 f2.8 from Sigma, Godox V860 speedlight for projection, reflector and orange gel for color, Godox AD300 Pro used as my key light, Light Dome Mini 2 with the grid attached on modifier for my key light, and the Godox X2T trigger to control the flashes. For mounting I used two Godox S2 Bones brackets, and the most important cinema grade tool, I just hope you're not gonna make jokes, ta-da, was a drying rack. A literally drying rack. There's one more important thing I want to mention. You don't need crazy lenses. I mean f1.2, f1.4 lenses. I shot everything at f4 35mm, most of them, but I've got some 50mm f4 shots at 50. I'm not sure that every kit lens can do 50 f4, but at 35 you should be fine. And the best part, I think every kit lens can do 35mm f4 or f4.5, but that's great because modern cameras can handle ISO pretty nice. At 12,050 you should be good. Even at 1600 you should be still fine. All the photos were shot at HSS, which is high speed sync, and for my R8 the HSS starts at 1/2050 seconds, and the aperture, as I previously mentioned, was at f4. Then I adjusted the ISO depending on the exposure. Now I want to show you how this lighting setup works. First I set up the projection light, that's the speed light with the orange gel, and the reflector power was around 1/16. This is the light that creates the shapes and warm tones in the background. In front of this I added the drying rack, that's what creates the broken shapes and the shadows. It acts like a pattern filter, basically a DIY gobbo. It's cheap, it's effective, and honestly it looks great. Next I added the Godox AD300 Pro with the Light Dome Mini 2. Power was around 164. This gives soft control light on the subject without killing the projection pattern. Now I want to give you 3 important tips that make or break the photos. Here's number 1. Put the projection flash outside the room. If you keep it inside, the orange gel will spill everywhere. I mean, the ceiling, walls, and you're not gonna get that cool background with those dark shapes. So putting it outside the room means controlled beam and cleaner shapes. So tip number 2, put the drying rack in front of your projection flash. Distance matters, so you have to move your drying rack further or closer to the projection flash to adjust the scale and sharpness of your projection. With this tip you have to experiment a bit more, but once you've got something that you like, you can keep continuing with that setup. Now, tip number 3, move your subject forward. If your subject stands too close to the background, your key light will wash out the projection pattern from the background, which is not great at all. Bringing the subject slightly forward means your background stays dark, shapes stay visible, and subject separation increases. Wardrobe was pretty simple. I mean, we used a black zipped hoodie, a beige top underneath, or a black t-shirt, and a pair of blue jeans. So as you can see, neutral tones work pretty good with warm light. Of course, I added a little bit of editing sauce, and basically the special thing with these photos is that I added some orange tones in the highlights and slight teal on the shadows, slight desaturation overall, and basically this whole thing keeps everything look normal and cinematic. So you don't always need expensive modifiers to create interesting light. Sometimes a $0 household and good placement beats a $500 tool.